Alright, today we're going to be replacing plugs, coils, and wires in a Series 1 RX-8. Should be about the same exact thing for Series 2. To start off with, I'm going to pull out the engine cover, the air box, and the intake tube just to give you all a better view of the coils. You shouldn't have to do this normally. Like I said, for video, that just pulls up and off. We're going to have to remove two hoses here, which will be routed a bit differently for earlier models coming from the dipstick or from the oil fill tube. Some of those have a tube going from there straight to the intake plumbing right here. So first off, we're going to loosen the clamps. It's just the one. And so start unplugging stuff. Unplug the mass airflow. Unplug the SSV for the VFED, which you only have, I believe, if you're a 6-port. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about this. Squeeze those tabs. The wiring harness out of there. More tabs underneath here I can get to later. Get these hoses off. All three of them, actually. Slides off, and then some last hose here. Good, now to remove the air box. Okay, so the air filter box is just held in with these rubber grommets here. First off, remove that pipe. Get a pry bar. Pry it out of the grommets over here. As we lift it up, you got to watch this vacuum line here. It's also for the VFED. Disconnect that. As you flip it over, so you got our vacuum line right here, and also for the VFED. Disconnect that. And we still have to disconnect that wiring harness, the mass airflow. And there's your whole airbox assembly. Let's put that off to the side. How much more room you have already. Go ahead and pull this guy off. And it also has another vacuum line connected to the bottom. Oh, no sir. That's the same VFED vacuum line. Just kind of clipped into place. Put that aside. Alright, now you can see your 4 ignition coils right here. Viewed from the front, it's leading trailing for rotor 1 and leading trailing for rotor 2. So next what we need to do, since we're replacing the wires at the same time, just go ahead and enable those off. If they want to, if you want. Be a little more careful with them if you aren't replacing them, but in this case it doesn't really matter. Go ahead and try to get this harness right here out of the way. Same with the other ones, there's 2 little tabs you need to depress. It wants to. That doesn't really move very far, but kind of gets out of the way. Push them wires out of the way too. So go ahead and disconnect, unplug all our coils. Now they're unplugged. See if I can get you a better angle. We'll go ahead and take the nuts off and pull the coils off of that bracket. Alright, so here we are. You're sitting in the airbox tray right now. So your 4 ignition coils already unplugged, disconnected. Then what you need to do is take off the 10mm nut that holds the coils down. And keep a magnet handy just in case. You see, after you take that nut off, the coils just slide right off. So go ahead and do all 4 of those. So easy to get all 4 coils off. See, these guys all got the nasty white spot in the back there. Which looks to me like overheating. And they are factory coils. I'm pretty sure this is the first time ignition maintenance has been done on this car, and it's got about 70,000 miles on it. So, alright, we'll go ahead and start with putting new coils back on. Alright, I just went with some cheap aftermarket. These are UltraPowers. I've had decent luck with UltraPowers in the past. Part number on these is UF501. You see compared to the factory coil, they're identical. Face the right direction. They're basically identical. You see the potting compound on the back is nice and black, nice and shiny, as opposed to that white mark right in the middle. So we're going to give these a shot and see how they work out. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put them back in. Alright, so after you've got your all your coils bolted down, plugged in, we're going to go ahead and do the plugs next. Alright, and here we are in the left front wheel well. Obviously the wheel's off. You don't need to take the wheel off to do this, but it does make it a lot easier, and I would have no way of filming it without taking the wheel off. So, see this little plastic shield right here. If you look in there, you can see your 2 rear rotor plugs, and right there, light's drowning it out, but there's your front rotor plugs. Let's see. And what we're going to do, just get this thing out of our way, spin out this annoying body plug. I hate these style. Spin a little bit, and it just pulls right out. I'm just going to do both so it's not just laying there. Alright, now the shield's off. You can really see your plugs there and plugs there. I'll reach in and pull these plug bars off. Pull them straight out. So you can see your 2 spark plugs right there. These are actually really loose too. And you see they're also factory plug wires because they got that tape on. I'll just take a look inside there. You see, there's your rear rotor plugs, and you can see it's actually embossed on the rotor housing. An L next to that one. You got a T next to the one up there for leading and trailing. Your trailing's on top, your leading's on bottom. Let's see with this side. Actually, you see it really good right there. Trailing and leading. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and pull these plugs out. I'll show you the tool I use for that. Alright, in order to pull these plugs out, I'm using this kind of special gear wrench plug socket. It's got a swivel built in, and it uses magnets and not rubber. So actually, it works a lot better than a traditional spark plug socket, especially if you're getting in like in here. Because I got all this flexibility. This is, let's see, this is a 13/16 or 21mm spark plug. You know, most cars you'll see are 16mm 5/8. So I actually had to buy this one special for this job, but you see this gear wrench, and you won't be able to see that part number. No, it's part number 80547. And if it's a gear wrench, it's made by Danaher, so you can probably find it in Craftsman, and Matco makes also. See if that light helps at all. It looks like it's got factory plugs in it. You see how just nasty they look. Let's focus on that. Yeah, make it a little bit quicker. they look kind of grungy. So, like I said, the camera's in the way for removing the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video now. Pull the other spark plugs out, just like changing any other spark plug. Just unscrew them. And then we'll talk about your spark plugs. Alright, and that's what your rotor housing is going to look like without spark plugs in them. See, these are all wet. I threw some PB in there. They were fighting me a little bit, but yeah. So again, trailing on top, leading on bottom. It's stamped on the rotor housing, just in case you forget. Now I'm going to talk about spark plugs we're installing. Right now you see the plugs we pulled out of there. There you go. You can see it looks all kind of nasty. It's not that bad. It's just 70,000 miles of wear. You also here see the difference between leading and trailing plugs. The one on the left is a trailing, the one on the right is a leading. And same with these guys. They're dirty, but they've been in the car for 70,000 miles. So we're going to be installing our NGKs. Laser iridium is pretty much the only one's available for this, but part number RE9B-T for your trailing plug, and RE7C-L for your leading plug. And you look a bit different. Here's your leading plug. There's the 4 slots cut in the top. And your trailing plug looks like that. So we're going to go ahead and put these in. Again, trailing on top, leading on bottom. I am not using anti-seize for these because the FSM does not specify using anti-seize. That's a big topic for a lot of people, is whether or not to use anti-seize in your spark plugs. Personally, I follow the factory's recommendation. If I pull spark plugs out and there's no evidence of anti-seize, I won't be putting anti-seize in the plugs going back in. Same way, if the service manual does not specify anti-seize, then I'm not going to be putting anti-seize on there. So everyone has their own thoughts on that, but that's just how I'm going to do it. Alright, so go ahead and install one of our leading plugs. Easiest one to get to, rotor 2 leading right there. Get that guy started. Okay. Get your socket on there. One thing with magnetic plug sockets is they want to hang on to the tip of the plug also, which makes them kind of pain in the ass to get on there sometimes. Good in it. Get your torque down. These do have crush washes on them. There we go. And once again, the camera's in the way, so I'll be doing the other 3 off camera. Alright, so our spark plugs are installed. Before we put it back together down there, obviously we need to throw down some spark plug wires. This is a NGK set. It's an NGK 4858. Stock number, part number RC-ZE81. And it's your 4 plug wires. And they are color coded, leading versus trailing, and they are numbered. What is it? That's rotor 1. That's rotor 2. Like I said, the coils are leading, trailing, leading, trailing. As your trailing are on top, they'll have the shorter ones, which means they have the black ones. That's trailing rotor 1. That's trailing rotor 2. Then you got leading rotor 1 and 2. Plug these into the coils and thread them down there. Go ahead, plug over. Alright, now we got our wires down here. Rotor black is your trailing. This right here is trailing 1. Clip it on there really good. Here's leading 1. And then trailing 2. And leading 2. So make sure you hear them. kind of snap on there really nice. If not, they'll be loose. There we go. Alright, so that's what it looks like with new plug wires on there. I'm going to go ahead and start putting things together down here, which pretty much just consists of putting this on. Pinning that one. Then I'm putting this on. And there you go. Put your wheel back on and we'll move back up top. Okay, so now that you got your new coils, plug wires, and plugs installed, it's time just to button everything back up, starting with the airbox. Actually, starting with this guy. There's a little notch on the throttle body and a cutout in the tube. Line both of them up. Just know what you gotta do. Clip that one wire back in place. Alright, that's secure now. And don't forget that VFab vacuum line. Assuming you're a 6-port. Comes along here. Clips on the inside and clips right there. Definitely want that. Now to get this guy in place, make sure this is out accessible. There we go. And orange harness right there. Make sure it pops into the grommets and everything down here. Nice and secure. Plug that V-fed vacuum line back in there and in there. And found this pointless little hose clamp. Harness clip back in there. The mass airflow there and the V-fed actuator. Alright, and I believe we are done. Go ahead and tighten up those lines or hoses or clamps. Make sure this is on there. There we go. Collect all your tools. Go ahead and throw the engine cover back on too. I'll go ahead and reinstall the engine cover. I'm sure you all know how to do this. That guy back in place, and then we'll go ahead and start her up. Alright, as long as she runs, you are good to go. That is replacing your plugs, coils, and wires on your Series 1 RX-8.